right. Kennedy has done it again. Two big updates from RFK Jr. and then some great news, some interesting news with Donald J. Trump. So, again, two great things happened today, three great things. And one of them happens to include a WWE Hall of Famer and possibly being interviewed by a future WWE Hall of Famer. We'll get to that. First, I think it's very important to cover the main topic of the news today. And we should all know what that is. Let's get right to it. Here we go. We now have some excellent news from Kennedy Shanahan. Here's what we got today. Two victories. Let's go to the news section under the press. And this is big. That's what she said. First, let's talk about what happened in Tennessee. Look at this. Kennedy submits signatures to gain ballot access in Tennessee. The Kennedy campaign announced that it has submitted the required signatures to gain ballot access in Tennessee. The team turned in 1,025 signatures, nearly 4 times the required amount. I am beyond grateful to be part of history today in Nashville, Tennessee, said Tennessee volunteer lead Tommy Aceto. Ensuring Mr. Kennedy gets on every state's ballot is important to me because I believe in the concept of freedom, which I fought for and many of my brothers died for. As an advocate for veterans with mental health issues, I believe it's vital for our service members, first responders, and medical care providers have access to the best care to heal the invisible wounds of service and war. It's interesting how he puts it like that. If you believe in liberty, Kennedy is the remedy. The campaign's aggressive ballot access operation has surpassed all its milestones to ensure the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is on the ballot in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The ballot access operation is fully funded with more than $15 million raised. The Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is officially on the ballot in 8 states: Utah, Michigan, California, Delaware, Oklahoma, Hawaii, Texas, and South Carolina. It has collected enough signatures for ballot access in 13 other states: New Hampshire, Nevada, North Carolina, Idaho, Nebraska, Iowa, Ohio, New Jersey, New York, Florida, Minnesota, and now Tennessee. Take me to another place. The Kennedy Shanahan campaign has collected the signatures needed for ballot access in 20 states, totaling 289 electoral votes. That's 54% of the 538 total electoral votes nationwide. On May 1st, the Kennedy campaign released results from a Zogby poll showing Kennedy beats both President Biden and Trump in head-to-head matchups. Kennedy is the first independent ever to defeat both major party candidates in head-to-head matchups. Beautiful. Look at this guy. Look at this Team Kennedy go. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's another victory for this man, RFK Jr. But it's a victory for America. It's a victory for the world. And whether Trump wants to believe or not, it's a victory for Trump 2024. It's a victory for anyone who loves this country and wants to make sure the people have options, that we don't just have more than, we don't just have 2 choices. We need more. The country deserves more. It definitely does. And may the best man win, right? If Trump is the Ric Flair of politics, he's going to find a way to win. And if Kennedy is the Hulk Hogan of politics, he's going to find a way to win too. Is he going to Hulk up at the end? Or is Flair going to come out and pull some dirty tricks, the dirtiest player in the game? We will see on November 5th, 2024. A few other things are happening. Before we get to that, I really want to go back to Team Kennedy, because not only did they get the victory in Tennessee, they got another state, maybe a little lesser known state to some of us, but that's a big deal. Alaska. Kennedy submits signatures to gain ballot access in Alaska. Let's read this today. The Kennedy campaign today announced it has submitted the required signatures to gain ballot access in Alaska. The team turned in 5,935 signatures, nearly double the required amount. Alaska is one of two states that will use ranked choice voting in the presidential election in November, which eliminates the spoiler effect and frees Alaskans to vote for their top candidate over the lesser of two evils. The petition submission is thanks to the extraordinary grassroots effort of more than 50 volunteers and businesses that served as signature sites, said Alaska State Campaign Chair Megs Testermata. Our effort spanned the far reaches of this enormous state, from Ketchikan to South Barrow, I can't even pronounce that name, in the Arctic Ocean, and many large and smaller communities in between. I am thrilled to be part of history by ensuring Alaskans have an independent option this November. The campaign's aggressive ballot access operation has surpassed all its milestones to ensure the Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is on the ballot in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. The ballot access operation is fully funded with more than $15 million raised. The Kennedy-Shanahan ticket is officially on the ballot in 8 states: Utah, Michigan, California, Delaware, Oklahoma, Hawaii, Texas, and South Carolina. It has collected enough signatures for ballot access in 13 other states: New Hampshire, Nevada, North Carolina, Idaho, Nebraska, Iowa, Ohio, New Jersey, New York, Florida, Minnesota, Tennessee, and now Alaska. The Kennedy-Shanahan campaign has collected the signatures needed for ballot access in 21 states, totaling 292 electoral votes. That's 54% of the 538 total electoral votes nationwide. On May 1st, the Kennedy campaign released results from the Zogby poll showing Kennedy beats both President Biden and Trump in head-to-head matchup. Trump defeats Biden handily. Kennedy beats President Trump in a two-way race by a tight margin. In a two-way race between Kennedy and President Biden, I'm just going to laugh. Kennedy wins in a landslide. Kennedy is the first independent ever to defeat both major party candidates in head-to-head matchups. More historical things are happening here with the Kennedy campaign. And I'm loving it. And I think every freedom-loving American should be loving this too. There's some other interesting things that came out that you can find if you can stomach some of the stuff that CNN says. The New York Times, they probably have to pay to even read this one here. Scripps News, The Kennedy Factor, How RFK Jr. Could Shake Up the Trump-Biden Rematch of 2024 Election. Or could he shake it up? Yeah, of course he could shake it up. So, let me see if there's anything that I missed. I believe that is all that is happening in the press right now. Let's go and take a look at this map, because we are all about this map. And don't forget about the 15th. I believe that is Saturday. RSVP for Recovering American live stream. But right now, let's look at this. 292. This is awesome. We're seeing more states turn purple. This is just to get them on the ballot. That's all this is. Trump supporters are not freaking out. Biden supporters probably don't even know what's going on and probably don't even care what's going on at this point. All they want to do is focus on Trump. It's all about Trump. It's not about Biden. I don't believe there's a lot of people out there who really believe Biden is a good candidate. But this map shows you everything you need to know about RFK Jr. And we have watched this map turn from gray to purple. We got a lot of light purples in there too. Like I've said before, the only reason why these 4 are still gray is because the starting date for them to actually start collecting people to sign up to get Kennedy's name on the ballot has not happened yet. That will happen, I believe, in June. We're in June, so I think it's coming up in these last 4 states here. All this is going to be purple, whether it's light purple or whether it's dark purple. I also heard Kennedy is planning on suing Nevada, I believe, because they are really trying to keep him off of the ballot there. More on that. I don't see anything in the news section about that. It's just too bad, because that is a big, big deal. I may have to just pull it up and read it here. I may just do that. Because every time something like this happens, you can clearly see they try to stack the odds against him. Let me see if I can find that article. Let's see. If I can't find it soon, I won't even try. Signature. Yeah, Kennedy is suing Nevada. Team Kennedy is suing Nevada. This came today. As you may know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign is currently facing significant challenges to secure a place on the ballot in Nevada. That just goes in, he needs your help, your support. The state's restrictive and undemocratic policies are designed to hinder independent candidates like RFK Jr. from participating in the electoral process. As RFK noted, we are fighting for the fundamental rights of the American people to have choices in their elections. Nevada's policies undermine this right and threaten the very core of our democratic values. The fight for ballot access is not just about one state, it's about ensuring a fair and democratic process nationwide. The lawsuit sets a precedent for other states and reinforces the principle that every candidate should have a fair opportunity to present their vision to the voters. Your support is essential. Okay, and then they want you to contribute a little funds there if you can. But I just wanted to go over that because it's not on the website or anything. I know he's posted about it. And so we'll probably have to go and look at some of that. But again, today there was some other fantastic news with Donald J. Trump, some breaking news here. And we have a great interview. And I'll play a little bit of it maybe. We have a current WWE Hall of Famer who was interviewed by possibly a future WWE Hall of Famer. If you don't know who Logan Paul is, you may not be a wrestling fan, and even a lot of wrestling fans, lifelong wrestling fans like myself. When I heard Logan Paul was going to try to jump in the ring, my eyes rolled, and I was like, what is going on now? Who is this guy? But I'll tell you what, Logan Paul is actually a really good wrestler, and he has impressed me. And he's the WWE Intercontinental Champion right now. That's the same title that was held by Randy Macho Man Savage, the Ultimate Warrior, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, who I got to hold Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's Intercontinental Championship belt when I was a kid. It's an awesome moment I'll never forget. Saw him at a payphone at the Holiday Inn in Oakland, California, getting autographs, and I got the books of autographs and everything. But when I heard Logan Paul, who is this guy? I keep hearing this name. I mean, this guy would come up on my YouTube feeds, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to know. But I saw him at WrestleMania last year. He was cool. This year is really good, and his matches are really good. And I think he is kind of like reminds me of a CM Punk a little bit. That's how Logan Paul reminds me a little bit. But it was a great interview, and I'm going to play this little clip here from Fox News because they covered it like breaking news here. So of course you got to get that little Fox danglage. Some good stuff. Let's play this. Here we go.
Right now, former President Trump is in D.C. for the first time since his New York criminal verdict. He's meeting with Republican lawmakers, business leaders, and potential candidates for his VP pick. Now, the former president is also expected to speak at a press conference in a little over an hour, which we will bring to you when they begin. And before he went to the Capitol, Trump hung out with YouTube sensation turned professional wrestler Logan Paul in a move that's likely to appeal to young voters. Now, a voting bloc that Trump is aggressively targeting and that Biden is bleeding. Watch. Impulsive! The two also posed for this Instagram picture with Logan Paul's WWE Championship belt. It got almost 900,000 likes in just under 24 hours. Meanwhile, Trump brought gifts for the internet superstar. Watch.
Is this your mugshot?
This is what we're reduced to. Should we put them on now? It sells. Well, Elvis had one, Frank Sinatra had one, but we've eclipsed them. A long time ago, we've eclipsed them.
That's what authenticity looks like, by the way. Logan Paul also extended an invitation to Joe Biden to join his podcast. Watch.
We'd like to extend the invite to Joe Biden if he'd like to come on this podcast.
Yeah, I think you should.
eventually.
You know what chance you have of getting him on? I'd say less than 1%. Okay? If you did that, it'd be I'd actually watch that one.
What I loved about that so much, Paul, is that, as I said, it's two of them being themselves. It's watching two normal humans interact. There's no faking anything, right? They're authentic. And that's probably in part why Logan Paul's celebrity has really skyrocketed. And that's being reflected in polls. So the latest New York Times Siena polling has President Biden with just a 2-point lead over Trump among those between 18 and 29. And a recent Quinnipiac survey has Trump ahead by a point among registered voters between 18 and 34. And you contrast that, CNN exit polling showed that Biden won the 18 to 29-year-old vote by 24 percentage points in 2020 and Hillary Clinton by 19 in 2016. There's a lot of ground that has been gained, and maybe it's because of things like this.
That's a 20-point swing, so, that's a big, big number. I mean, look, he's very smart. He senses the vulnerability, and he's going right at it. Part and parcel of that is his proposal to remove the tax on the gig economy through the service industry, saying, okay, we're not going to tax your tips anymore. And I think what would behoove Trump, and I think he's doing it, is to just, have a digital advisor, because kids these days live digitally. And one of the gripes I hear is about Venmo. Kids use Venmo to send money all over the place. If you use Venmo in a commercial transaction with your link to a credit card, it takes a 3% tax. That you feel that if you're a young person working in the gig economy. So that's just an idea that I've seen floated, but it's very clear that he's listening to advisors on those issues, and he understands that those kids vote these days. They're tuned in. They see this stuff on TikTok. That's why he's with Logan Paul here, who's got an enormous following on TikTok. Very wise, and he knows something else. He knows that Biden can't do it. If Biden goes on Logan Paul or any of these real digital platforms and exposes himself like that, even though they're not that far apart in age, Biden's scans are so much older than, and kids get him. They understand that Trump is funny. They see Biden, they see their cranky grandpa. Let's be frank.
It's true. Kaylee, I want to get your thoughts on what Paul just said. Everything you said is so true and it's so accurate. But I wonder talk to me about the practical application, the investment return on those kind of voters versus the ones that are being plied with birth control and a 6-pack of beer. And my question to you is that authenticity, that realism, the actual policy-based campaigning, is that enough to woo or to surmount the Democrat knee-jerk free swag approach?
It is. Listen, I'm Gen Z. We don't want to be pandered to by Democrats. We want actual policy solutions for the problems that we face just as much as older generations do. And this is a really big deal for Trump to meet with Logan Paul, because I know who Logan Paul is. I don't necessarily watch him, not really my style, but I guarantee you that everyone in my generation, regardless of whether they watch him, they know who he is. And he has a tremendous following. He has 23 million YouTube subscribers, 27 million Instagram followers, 18.5 million TikTok followers. And an analysis last year found that more than half of those are all between the ages of 18 through 24. So if you're trying to speak to Gen Z, this is a perfect person to do that with. And Paul is right that, candidates have to learn how to campaign differently for younger voters, because we don't consume politics the same way as older generations. We're not going to turn out to traditional campaign events. We are not going to answer a pollster's phone call, but we will see you on social media. We will listen to you if you're talking with one of our favorite influencers like Logan Paul. And that's exactly what Trump is doing. He is changing his strategy to meet the moment.
Yeah, I think I'm still traumatized from yesterday when the Democrats rolled out their 6-packs. So tell us, weigh in. Is this going to work? Fingers crossed. What do you think of this?
Absolutely. Well, look, the TikTok move is brilliant on Trump's part. Remember, when he signed up for TikTok, his fan base blew away Joe Biden's. That's the first thing that we have to remember. The other is that if you look at that generation, Gen Z, what 9 out of 10 Gen Zs that actually did answer a poll, to your point, said that housing affordability, that is their most important issue when they go to vote in November. Democrats are very worried about that young vote not showing up in November. If they can engage them, that's not just Joe Biden, but, down ballot. The other issue, too, is if you look at the things, and actually Jake Paul, his brother, I don't know a lot about them either, but he goes, mortgages are too much for us to afford. Inflation is up. People are having trouble paying off going to school. All of these things are what that generation cares about.
Yeah, take us home.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is brilliant. Getting out on TikTok. Oftentimes, a party or a candidate loses a race, and then they do kind of an auto critique, a look back at where we went wrong. And I remember during Obama's election and reelection, the Republican Party having to grapple with what did he do that we didn't do? Micro targeting on Facebook. Well, here we are. Trump's not letting the moment pass him by. This is brilliant, being out there at the UFC fight, being out there with Logan Paul. Biden, I'm sure, will not take up that invitation from Logan Paul. Trump is doing two things. He's showing up and he's having fun. And that age-old test, who do you want to have a beer with? The guy who stands frozen during a White House concert for Juneteenth, that's what Biden did, or the guy going face-to-face, quite literally, with a WWE celebrity. I mean, the second guy, not only does he have policy answers, but he's having fun while he presents them.
Yeah, it's like the evolved Donald Trump, but also the one that we've always known and appreciated and loved. Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR.
Pretty cool.
Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.
That kind of came up here too.
Discover the ultimate in bathroom luxury. Ballot.
Let me go to this because I saw. Wow. Look up Jake Paul and then look up RFK Jr. Look at that. See if anything on YouTube. I remember seeing something about Jake Paul kind of endorsing or talking about RFK Jr. I don't see it anywhere here on YouTube. But I did see it, some of that here. It looks like it was a while ago. Is it Jake Paul? Or, yeah. Yeah, Jake Paul endorses RFK Jr. in his 2024 campaign. So where is this coming from? Let's see. Let me see. What's this? Oh, here we go. All right. It's kind of old. Not too old. But I think this is what Trump, again, Trump is doing something. So you have one poll on Team Trump and then one on Team Kennedy. I think that's pretty cool. Professional boxer and YouTuber Jake Paul put $3,300 into Kennedy's campaign bid, a daily dot analysis of Federal Election Commission filing found. According to FEC, Paul made the contribution on September 11th, making his first ever federal level campaign donation. At the time, RFK Jr. was running a primary challenge to incumbent President Joe Biden. Wow. He since switched his campaign to an independent presidential bid. So that was a while ago. So again, Jake Paul, that's pretty cool. Vivek for president, that's pretty cool too. Can't. Oh, here we go. What is this? Got to talk with RFK Jr. Yeah, too bad. Too bad there's no video or anything about that. Maybe there is. Presidential candidate today. What is this? Let's see if I can play this here. Oh, this is short.
We'd like take breaks.
Oh, there we go.
Yo.
I hold it down the whole time.
Yeah, you hold it down and then we'd like take breaks. Yes. Yeah. So then you just stop. Yo.
I hold it down.
Okay.
Yeah, you hold it down and then
That was from September 27, 2023. I didn't see any more of that. That's pretty cool. I like that. So you have Logan Paul, who is kind of teamed up with Trump, and then you have his brother Jake Paul kind of teamed up with RFK Jr. It's pretty cool. I don't know. It's pretty wild to me. So that may be all that I have to cover today. But that was fun. I had a lot of fun just reliving that. Anytime wrestling can get brought into this, because there's a lot of similarities. Not just some similarities, but a lot of similarities, I think, with all of this. So let's go. Let me see if there is anything new with Kennedy. We know there's always something kind of new here. Surprisingly, CNN and Anderson Cooper did a great segment about disillusioned Trump and Biden supporters in Wisconsin who are voting for me this November. Oh, I don't know if I can stomach 2 minutes of CNN. Well, why not? What else they got going on? What is this? This looks interesting.
I was a skeptic of Trump in 2015. I liked what he was saying, even about first principle things. But something didn't make sense. He seemed to love the country, even have killer instincts about what was happening to America. But there were many moments when his first answer was one that was best for Trump, not the American people. I remember during the campaign wondering when the media on the right was going to call him out for this. One commentator assessed it perfectly. Trump was not an ideologue, but he had impeccable instincts. And admittedly, for the first 3.5 years of his presidency, that commentator's observation was correct. In fact, I remember the State of the Union in February 2020 thinking that Trump was at the top of his game and that there's no way he could lose the upcoming election.
And he didn't.
Then March came. In fact, it was exactly the Ides of March, and Caesar was about to fall. The bad actors in the swamp saw Trump's one weakness, that he had no core beliefs about America's first principles. And those bad actors pounced. Trump's legendary instincts failed him miserably because of the fear of losing an election and for a lack of core beliefs. He didn't know how to handle Dr. Fauci because he didn't have a principle about the role of government. He went along with the experts as they stroked his ego about locking down, masking up, and Operation Warp Speed. Whatever thoughts he had about America first were tossed away because there was no deep conviction about it. But it turns out that first principles matter. They belong to the small businessman who lost everything. They belong to the single mom who is conscripted.
I hear this a lot, and I hear this from Kennedy himself, from supporters. They have to remember, Trump pumped a lot of money into our economy after COVID to try to get us back on track too. And he's made it clear if he wouldn't have done that, there would be no economy right now. So I get what they're saying, but I think there's a little bit more to it. And how much money did Trump put back into the economy that then later on we have to pay back, and so that created more debt. But had he not done that, it would have been a lot worse. I think that's Trump's point.
4 teenage boys who missed out on everything that teenagers should be doing. They belong to the widow who couldn't go to the funeral of her lover, to the grandmother who died in isolation. It's more than politics at this point, more than a red team.
See, I don't think Trump should take. I don't think that is something Trump should be responsible for. These were state issues, and the states controlled what they wanted to control on their own. It was easy for the states to just blame Trump for these things. But Trump was also one of the first people to try to get the country to reopen. He wanted everything to reopen. When Biden came in, that's when the federal regulations and all of that stuff started. It did not happen under Trump. It wasn't about the federal regulations, but the states were always in control of their own states. That's why the states that didn't shut down did so much better. And the states that did shut down took a big hit. And you're going to tell me Trump didn't see that for those 2 weeks? And Trump was the first one trying to get the country to reopen. And all of the media, all of these left-leaning states were all telling him, we're all saying, he's going to create more harm. The states have to take responsibility for what the states did. Trump is responsible for what the federal government did. And the forcing of things is not something that Trump did. He just didn't do it. There was a lot of forcing that happened after he was pushed out of office.
A blue team. This is about who will lead from a place of conviction. I want to look at the heroes of the last debacle to lead. The Kennedys, the Rogans, the Mark Steins. The people who saw that the methods of the ruling class were designed to break the principles of a great country and they were doing it on purpose. Trump can say in hindsight and in his Instagram profile that we shouldn't comply. But the next time the thugs from the swamp come for us, and there's always a next time, I'm not sure that I can trust his legendary instincts won't fail the people of this country again.
See, that's another place where I would completely disagree. Trump is not known for making the same mistake twice. Put the bad people in there, have the wrong people in there, and that's his fault. Who he put in there, who he prompted up, who he put in charge of it. And like I read in Tucker Carlson's book, where he was saying Trump put too much faith into Mike Pence and let Mike Pence run the whole COVID thing. And you don't see Trump blaming Mike Pence for that, which is pretty interesting too. I thought that was fascinating what Tucker Carlson said. But I don't believe Trump will make the same mistake twice. I just don't.
I'm resisting the uniparty narrative. I'm leaving the matrix of good teams and bad teams. I'm deciding things in this election for my kids and hoping that the future is filled with conviction towards the things that we lost.
It's beautiful. That is a beautiful video there. Okay. There's the Hunter Biden conviction. That one's going to be good. There is, I guess I'm going to stomach this. I don't know. Let's see how much of this I can actually take here. Here we go.
Independent 2024 presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is trying to get on more state ballots and the CNN debate stage later this month. Kennedy has double-digit support in some national polling, better than any third-party or independent candidate at this stage since Ross Perot in 1996.
On a 17-acre tree farm in Saukville, Wisconsin, Dale Stenbrotten rides around the land with hope the 2024 election will bring monumental change. In 2020,
I voted for Trump.
But now he says the former president sounds like a broken record.
It's all about the election was rigged and
it was rigged.
Bobby's the first candidate.
Okay. That's enough of that. That's all I can take of that one. Let me see. There was one other clip that I did see here. I'll play a little bit of this. Oops.
Right now, a child is being diagnosed with cancer.
We cannot.
This
gentleman from Florida, 5 minutes.
February 8th, the White House question, Mr. President, why did you share classified information with your ghostwriter? The president, I did not share classified information. I did not share it. I guarantee I did not. That's not true, is it, Mr. Hur?
That is inconsistent with the findings based on the evidence in my report.
Yeah, so it's a lie. It's just what regular people would say, right? Yeah, all right. So the next one. And all the stuff that was in my home was in filing cabinets that were either locked or able to be locked. That wasn't true either, was it?
That was inconsistent with the findings of our investigation.
Another lie, people might say, right? Because what you put in your report was among the places Mr. Biden's lawyers found classified documents in the garage was a damaged open box. So here's what I'm understanding, right? As Mr. Armstrong laid out, you find in your report that the elements of a federal criminal violation are met, but then you apply this senile cooperator theory that because Joe Biden cooperated and the elevator doesn't go to the top floor, you don't think you get a conviction. And I actually think you get to the right answer in that. I don't think Biden should have been charged. Don't think Trump should have been charged. But under the senile cooperator theory, isn't it frustrating that Biden continues to go out and lie about the basic facts of the report that lay out a federal criminal violation?
Congressman, I need to disagree with at least one thing that you said, which is that I found that all of the elements were met. One of the elements of the relevant mishandling statute is the intent element. And what my report reflects is my judgment that based on the evidence, I would not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt to a jury that that intent element had been met.
Right, but the reason you have that doubt is the senile cooperator theory. The fact that Joe Biden is so inept in responding that you can't prove the intent, which again, I don't quibble with that conclusion, but it's frustrating to be like, oh, well, this guy's not getting treated the same way as Trump because the elevator's not going to the top floor, so we can't prove intent. While at the same time, Biden goes out there at the White House and says, well, He just blatantly lies. And what I'm trying to figure out is whether or not Biden's lying because he's still so senile, he hasn't read your report, or whether it's a little craftier and a little more devious and perhaps a little more intentional than we might otherwise think. So I also want to go to this Biden Penn Center. Like, did it give concern to you that the Biden Penn Center, where all this classified stuff was being mishandled, was being floated by foreign governments?
Congressman, we were concerned with getting to the bottom of all of the classified documents that were recovered during the course of our—
Yeah, but what bothers me is that the money that was paying for the place where the documents were being inappropriately held, it was the Chinese and it was other foreign countries. Did that play into your analysis? Did you look into the $1 billion in foreign funding sources at the Biden Center at UPenn, for example?
Congressman, we conducted a thorough, impartial, and fair investigation, and we were very, very concerned with getting to the bottom of all the relevant questions relating to the recovered documents.
Did you look into the fact that the Chinese were floating the place where this guy was keeping the documents unsecure? Yes or no?
Congressman, to the extent that we identified evidence that was relevant and significant to our investigation, we put it in our report.
Okay, well, it seemed relevant to me, maybe not to you. Another thing that seemed relevant to me is this ghostwriter, right? So the ghostwriter purposefully deletes this evidence that seems to be like show culpability of Biden's crimes, and you don't charge him. Why did you not charge the ghostwriter with obstructing justice and deleting evidence?
Well, for a number of reasons that are laid out in the report, but in brief, Congressman, yes, when we interviewed the ghostwriter, he did tell us, and I'm trying to get the exact language, that one of the things on his mind, one of the things he was aware of, was that I had been appointed special counsel and was conducting an investigation.
Right, so he didn't, just so everybody knows, the ghostwriter didn't delete the recordings just as a matter of happenstance. Ghostwriter has recordings of Biden making admissions of crimes. He then learns that you've been appointed. He then deletes the information that is the evidence, and you don't charge him.
That is reflected in the report, and one of the reasons—
Like, what does somebody have to do to get charged with obstruction of justice by you? If like deleting the evidence of crimes doesn't count, what would meet the standard?
So, Congressman, as we state in the relevant chapter of the report, one of the things that Mr. Zwanitzer did not delete was transcripts of the recordings that he had created that included inculpatory evidence relating to Mr. Biden.
Oh, so if you destroy some evidence but not other evidence, that somehow absolves you of the evidence you destroy? Like, here's what I see. Zwanniger should have been charged, wasn't. Biden and Trump should have been treated equally. They weren't. And that is the double standard that I think a lot of Americans are concerned about. I see my time's expired. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Tennessee is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hurth, thank you for being here. A little confused about this hearing. Mr. Raskin laid out the big picture.
Okay, that's enough of that guy. I'm not going to bother with too much more of that. Just got one or two more clips, and then that is all I got for tonight. This is about a minute or so.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the foothills of the Himalayas with Xi Jinping.
She knows so long as you deny, our freedom can never be secured. We'll never forget lying around and him lying around, actually.
It is noteworthy that the percentage of women who register to vote and cast a ballot is consistently higher than the percentage of the men who do so. End of quote. Repeat the line.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure.
All right, that's hilarious. That's got to be the funniest thing I've seen in a little while. That's a great way. That's a great place to end this right here. God bless you all. Until next time, remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and so do I. So does the world. Stay true to yourself. We'll see you again. God bless.